Hi, Scott Lackman from 4510 TV, a community worth watching. Today's episode, viewers, we're catching up with Jackie Lackman from Australia's CEO Challenge, Workplace Partners Against Domestic and Family Violence. And for the viewers, they know my beautiful wife. Jackie, how are you going?
I'm going great. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Jack, I wanted to catch up with you through our platform, as we have done a couple of times over the years. Can you give us a bit of an update of what's happening in the domestic and family violence space and sector?
Absolutely can. If we look at last year as our starting point, where, not only in Australia but worldwide, we saw rates of domestic and family violence increase due to that isolation, the need to be at home and in a safe space and to protect our communities. What came with that was job losses, financial stress. Families were homeschooling. The pressures that mounted due to COVID really took a toll. And in the first probably 6 to 8 months, we actually didn't see a spike in support services needed. And that was because, in most instances, access to those support services were denied. Historically, those who've been impacted by domestic and family violence, work has been their safe place. And so when work, became the home environment, we saw a shift and a change and an awareness across countries around the impacts of domestic and family violence.
Would it be fair to say that maybe as restrictions eased and as people returned to maybe workplaces or not so much in that control environment, is there any statistics or any information that maybe that has lessened in the last couple of months?
Unfortunately, I wish that was the case, but it's not the case. This issue continues to show up in our media and, as close as 48 hours ago, we saw a woman here in Queensland lose her life in a fire to domestic and family violence. Already this year, 6 women have lost their lives. What I do want to provide, though, today, Scott, is some hope. We are seeing media get behind the awareness raising. We're seeing communities rally, a movement beginning to shine through that we can't do it alone as services that are raising awareness and supporting frontline services, that it'll take a community. And so being here today with you as an organisation that is bringing a community together, we have a voice. So I do want to also, in amongst the harrowing real statistics, there is hope because we are seeing people feeling brave enough and safe enough to come forward.
For yourself, traditionally in your career, you'd travel Australia-wide, internationally, providing resources and education to corporate Australia, to the big guys, the Rio Tintos, the Fortescue Mining, Tees. There's a million big companies that I know you do business with. Traditionally, you were travelling around the country, international, providing this message. You're back on the tools. You're off the Zoom camera to a certain degree. What have you got projected over the next, or for this 2021 period, getting back in front of those workplaces, getting back in front of those people? What's your main message this year?
Yeah. Look, we did pivot, as did so many workplaces and communities, to that virtual world, and it forced us into expanding our workplace programs to now be able to offer a blended model of not only face-to-face but virtual programs. And, it does get us into areas that we couldn't get before because of costs. And, that's pivotal. When our vision is a world free from violence, where we're wanting as many workplaces as possible on board. Some of the shift in the work that we're doing because of the momentum and the more conversations that are occurring is an understanding that not only do we have those experiencing domestic and family violence in the workplace, we have those using. So when we look at the numbers and we see currently 1 in 4 women and 1 in 13 men are impacted by domestic and family violence, if you put those numbers into your workplace, not only do we have that number experiencing, we also have that number using. And we have a really key preventative role to play. And having conversations and, I suppose, guiding those who are using violence and abuse in their behaviours to seek help and support will not only keep the family safe, but it will start to look at breaking the cycle and for us to have a real social impact in our communities.
So that's like behavioural change in round terms, educating around better behaviours, healthier behaviours, being aware of previous behaviours. How does that sink into perhaps a person that was using violence?
Yeah, look, I think, predominantly the face of domestic and family violence has been physical behaviours, and I'm really glad you said that because it's a key component of identifying what behaviours are okay in a normal, healthy relationship versus one of domestic and family violence. So when we start to look at behaviours where someone who is not using physical behaviours, they're using coercive controlling behaviours, intimidation, controlling movements through text messages and phone calls and stalking. We really start to dive deep into understanding that while some of these behaviours may have started out as, I'm protecting you, I care for you, I love you, they are actually about power and control. And so education is key. I might have grown up in a home of domestic and family violence or, have learnt behaviours that my problems are solved this way. And it's not until you do receive some education and awareness training that you understand that potentially your behaviour isn't okay and you shouldn't be doing it, but how do I stop it? And that's where we want to be able to ensure that services like behavioural change programs are available, that those who want help and support can access them. In the last couple of years here in Queensland, we've had a wait list of around 350 people waiting for self-referred support with their behaviour. That list has now dropped to around 100. We're seeing more programs and we're seeing more conversations about it's okay, it's not a weakness to say that you need help.
Jackie, let's bring it back into the Moreton Bay region and through our platform 4510 TV. Late last year we attended a program where resources and service groups around the Moreton Bay region, we came together, we hosted a meeting at the Sports Central. We invited real estate agents into that mix and into that forum so that they had resources that they could touch, feel, pass on to someone in need. And that was all about recognising, responding, referring. Can we just touch on those services that are available in our local area?
Absolutely. Look, it is a challenging topic. It can trigger and it's not something that you want to talk about. But, pretty much all of us have this heart space and we want to be able to help our friends, our family members, our work colleagues. And we don't want you to be the experts or the counsellors or feel like you have to do that. And so when we look at that framework of recognise, respond, refer, respond and refer go hand in hand. And those referral pathways are critical. We have a statewide hotline for men and women, which is DV Connect, 1800 811 811. But locally, here in the Moreton Bay region, boy, did we see some support services come out that we didn't know were there. Mercy Community Services, CADA. I would really like to put a call to action out. Research what is in our local community that you might need one day to be able to refer someone to. Where are the services doing an incredible job? And in fact, how might you be able to help, donate, support? Because together, we absolutely can make an impact that matters, but we can't do it alone.
Spot on. I wish we were talking about a different subject, but this is it. We, a husband and wife. I believe we have a healthy relationship. It's not always roses and champagne, but we have a healthy understanding of what works for us in our relationship, and we're both busy individuals with business as well as community and children and so forth, family. What would be just some sort of takeaway message from our brief interview today? I appreciate that you're available for awareness and education. I appreciate we've got resources around town that people can reach out to. But is there just some sort of message you could give today you said hope, but just give us something else that we can grab onto of how we get through this topic of domestic and family violence?
Well, something I like to say is we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable conversation about domestic and family violence and have those conversations. I think we have to start to lean into that. We feel fear when we're going into the unknown, or we're not sure what to say or what to do. My takeaway for you today, or my message to you today, is to give it a go. That if you're coming from a heart space, you can't get this wrong, ask someone if they're okay today. If you're picking up some signs that they seem out of character, they don't just seem quite right, it could be anything. It might be domestic and family violence, it might be anxiety, depression, mental health. But if we could just at least start to check in and ask each other, are you okay? It goes to a long way to build, an environment and a community of safety.
Spot on. Jackie Lackman, CEO of Australia's CEO Challenge, Workplace Partners Against Domestic and Family Violence, and just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this topic. And I know when events happen in Australia, your phone runs hot. Media outlets, service providers, they ring you and ask, what do we do? I'm privileged to experience the work that you're doing in our home, but in your community. And thanks for being on 4510 TV. And I'm the same as you. I hope that maybe one day we're not actually doing this interview in a world free of violence. So.
Scott, I want to thank you, and I'm just going to do a final plug. I know you've kind of wrapped up the conversation, but one of our community events is coming up, and I want to highlight it's an opportunity to virtually join us, or also at the end of May, to come together as a community to stand up against domestic and family violence. That is our Darkness to Daylight event. It is a 110-kilometre symbolic run that represents, on average, the lives lost to domestic and family violence each year in Australia. I'd love you to go to www.darknesstodaylight.org and join us in our fight against domestic and family violence.
All right, we'll have those links for that last minute plug, and thank you once again. And also today, viewers, we'll have some links to those resources within the Moreton Bay region, and most importantly, those emergency numbers for DV Connect. Thanks, Jack.